Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Hey, we're back. It is October the 29th, and Julie Harris has got a fantastic show that they prepared for all of you guys today. And it's the outrageous goals to finish 2021 strong. And most importantly, set yourself up to have an incredible start to 2022. So, Julie, what motivated you around this topic?
Well, you know, the clock is ticking, the months are changing, and we are full on going into the holiday season with November and December. And of course, and this is one of the points coming up, expired Palooza weekend.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, it's right around the corner.
That's right. And this is not the time to give up and say, well, we're almost through the year. Nobody's working during the holidays anyway. Nope. We want you to finish strong because as you've been hearing from us on virtually every podcast, what you do fourth quarter greatly determines your trajectory first quarter. And if you screw up first quarter, it's awfully hard to get back on your feet.
That's right. I mean, I think many of you listen to us every day. And the fact is we've been pleading with all of you for at least the past 2 months to really mentally, emotionally condition yourself that 2022 has already started. That way, when it does actually start, financially, you're already going to be ahead of the curve because you've got listings, you've got pendings versus doing what most everyone does. By the way, not just real estate agents, but small business owners. They wait until next year when the calendar flips over to actually officially start thinking about, the start of the new year, which means, to Julie's point, you're going to have to build a whole bunch of new momentum at the really the worst time of year to be doing it. Just for every kind of building momentum going into the year is the hardest time in real estate to build momentum because that's when everyone else is doing it. You want to have an advantage. You want to have an edge on the game for next year. A jump start. And the best way for you to do that is to follow our instructions from today's podcast. And I remind all of you, if you've not completed your 2022 business plan yet, you know what? I got to change that SMS code. Yeah. We made it easy for you. Just text the word Harris, Harris. Text the word Harris to 47372. When you do, we're going to text you back a link. And with that link, you can download the Real Estate Treasure Map. It is your fill-in-the-blank business and life plan and something that absolutely every single one of you will want to finish immediately. If you are married, have a partner, do that with them. If you have kids, maybe even consider including them into the plan because that makes the plan a family plan and not just your own plan, which will pretty much lock in increase your likelihood of accomplishing those goals. So all you've got to do is text the word Harris, Harris, to 47372, and we'll text you back a link to download said business plan.
Yes, so 2 fun facts. First one is there are basically 60 days left in 2021. Second fact, if you are lucky, there are about 28 work days left after taking out weekends and holidays.
How many people are hearing those statistics and going, yay, only 28 work days? And how many other people are going, oh man, only 28 days? That's,
That's right.
What does she mean by that? You take out the weekends, you take out the holidays and run it backwards. So let's call today November 1st. So you got December. How many of you are going to be working all 4 weeks in December? Some of you will, I know. I mean, Julie and I did when we sold real estate. Sure. But let's say most of you are going to be working maybe 2 weeks in December. And that means the last week in November, most of you are going to take at least a week off there. So now you're going to have 3 weeks in November. And for some reason,
I took weekends out.
Julie took the weekends out. And then always this week, really, into next week sometimes, a lot of people take Halloween week off too.
So I'm not even accounting for snowstorms and other stuff, or maybe you hopefully don't get sick. But, all I did was really take out some time for the holidays and the weekends. So for some people, you adjust down. Maybe you've only got 25 work days, and other people, maybe it's closer to 32. But taking out for holidays, I think I counted 10 days or so, plus the weekends and some of the holidays are mixed into that.
That's pretty incredible, though.
You've got about 28 days left. So the next question is, what will it take for you personally to finish strong? And I wrote down 10 points, and this might go into Monday. That's okay if it does. But let's start out with number 1. Take an assessment of where you actually stand today. What is your total number of active listings currently? Total number of pre-qualified and motivated buyers? total number of pendings. What is the money coming in? Where do you stand today?
And also the total number of active listings, but some of you already are working into the future, and you have maybe listing leads, people that are going to list with you. Make sure, listeners, you get those contracts signed. If you have people that have promised to list their house with you at the start of next year, you got to get the contract signed, because they're going to be going to holiday parties. They're going to trip over other agents, and you could lose the listings that way. So get your contract signed.
They also could fall in love with the house they want to buy this weekend and find their motivation.
Yep.
So don't just rest on your laurels and figure you're going to wait until January. You've got to be on top of that. Even if you have a projected launch date, you need to have those conversations. So point number 2, set goals for what you'll accomplish in the next 28 or so work days. New pendings, new listings, number of new appointments. And then think bigger. If your goals are clearly attainable, make them outrageous instead. It's okay to fall a bit short, but it's not okay to go through the end of the year goalless or with wimpy goals.
So you've got 28 days, which is effectively, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks left this year to work. And Julie is suggesting that opposed to just like writing out the calendar, why don't you really drill down on those work days that you're going to be working the rest of the year? Really make the most of those days. And you're going to finish your real estate treasure map, because you're going to text Stuart Harris to 47372. And let's say you discover through the real estate treasure map what your magic number of listings is. And you will then discover through completing the real estate treasure map, it's maybe 5 or it's 7, or in some cases it's 3. And I know, Julie, we're getting there. Julie always gets fussy when I step on her next point. I did that on accident, by the way. So the moral of the story is find out what your magic number of listings is, and that should be the same as the number of contacts you make every day. So if you determine your magic number of listings, the number of listings you need at all times to meet or exceed your financial goals, business and personal life, is 5, make 5 real contacts, voice to voice, person to person, every single day. That's what we're suggesting you do. When Julie gives you these numbers, if you do it along with the treasure map, it'll all make a lot more sense.
That's right. So point number 3, after you've done that, consider adding 20% to your goals. If you think you need 3 actives, make it 4. If you need 3 of your 5 buyers to get pending, why not sell all 5 of them? So point number 4, consider that our expired Palooza is happening this weekend. How many expireds will you actually have real conversations with? And you know, one of the assignments that I had some of our coaching clients do is to have, we call them expired sorties, right? You have a specific expired plan, not just all of the, expireds in your entire MLS, but it's also, for example, Chris Leon in Chicago. He was hunting down expired new construction, which is a very specific hunt. And what you do is you start very broad just to see where it is. And the only search criteria other than expireds for, say, the past 6 months, you can do probably your whole MLS, is year built 2019 to present.
Good.
And what that does is it captures new construction that maybe hasn't sold, or maybe it was expired when it was
or a model.
just a model home. I remember the Kenmores found one that way. And, Lance was all excited. He came to the call and said, I just listed one for $750. Now, their average sale price is about $350. So this was extra good. And he said, and I also sold it. I took it on Friday. I sold it on Saturday. I said, well, what did you do to sell it? And you know what he said? I put it in the MLS. He had found a model home from a parade of homes that had never actually had any realtor attention, put it in the MLS, had some pretty pictures, did the showings, got it pending.
Of course.
So it doesn't have to be like the typical expired hunt. You can do something specific. Now, I'll take another example for expired Palooza. Some of our coaching clients have the assignment of looking up where all of their listings have been that they've sold and looking for anything that's expired in that neighborhood for the past 2 years.
Yep.
Because they probably have familiarity with your sign. Maybe they went to your open house. Maybe they're already in your database. So not just expired hunting, but some real specific sorties.
And not just houses you sold necessarily to either your buyers or listings that sold, any houses that sold, period. So don't listen to what Julie's saying and saying, well, I didn't sell any houses where there's expireds, and use that as your excuse not to do the work. Another listings did sell, buyers did buy. You can call that prospective expired. Now, what is expired Palooza, just in case you guys are not clear about that?
Right.
That's whenever there's a change of the month at the same time that there's a holiday, as much as you want to call Halloween a holiday. So that means that essentially, yesterday, today, so the 20th, 29th, 30th, and the 31st, and really all of next week, there's going to be more expireds than there normally are, because most brokers set their listings to expire at the first day and the last day of the month. Now, word to the wise, as you guys learned from our coaching program how to take more and more listings, don't have your listings expire at the first day or the last day of the month. And don't have your listings expire during what is effectively a expired Palooza weekend. Because right now, you're going to have this perfect trifecta of opportunity. Number one, people are going to be home. Well, first of all, it's the end of the month, beginning of the month. That's number one, so there's going to be more expireds. Number two, people are going to be home, not knowing their listings expired. And number three, because it's a quasi-holiday, the other agents will not be working. They're going to be out begging for candy.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to have an opportunity to start calling the expireds. The sellers are going to say, a lot of them are going to not know their house expired, especially if you're the first one to call them. That's what Expired Palooza is all about. Those of you who've been thinking about dipping your toes in the waters of learning how to expire, you're going to need to know how to say what to say, how to say it. You're going to need to get our scripts. That's the whole point of becoming one of our coaching clients. So, Julie, I'll get back to your points.
Yes. All right. So next we have number 5. What holiday/center of influence events are you committed to? Some of you, the answer is nothing. Some of you have been dodging that. Now, if you have COVID concerns, obviously that's okay. But, pending that, always say yes when people invite you to their holiday parties. It's great when somebody else is doing the party.
Totally.
Take advantage of that. Expand your center of influence. Use your Ford script. You'd be amazed at how many transactions come from those types of events. And remember, we mentioned earlier in this podcast, if you're not doing that, some other licensed agent is, and they're building the relationships.
And guys, this is part of our coaching program. We talk to you about when you go to parties, how to, even if you're a big dorky introvert like Julie and I, we talk to you exactly what to say, and we talk to you exactly how to position yourself in the room, conversation patterns, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, Ford. We talk about all that stuff with you so that even if you're a super introvert, you can go to a party where you don't know anyone and you can get to know people relatively quick. It's not that difficult. And then you can network that way. And the very fact that you're at the party effectively makes you a center of influence as the person who's holding the party, which probably means that you're 1 degree away from everyone else at the party because they're friends with that person too. So all the people at the party hypothetically could be a center of influence and past client lead for you after you get to know as many of them as you can. How do you know Tim and Julie? You're at Tim and Julie's house at a party. There it is. There's that common bond, and from there it's your game to lose.
That's right. So point number 6, what if you spoke with 5 people, not just dialed, spoke with real conversations. What if you spoke with 5 people from your database every day of the 28 days that you've got left to work? Where would your business be going into 2021? I can guarantee you're going to have more leads, and you won't be able to look back going, well, I should have talked to my database.
And Julie, I'm just curious, this time of year when they're calling all 5 of these people, what possibly should they be saying?
Well, there's always a Ford script, but you can say happy holidays.
Yep.
You can say, you know what? I'm going to this event. There's a holiday bazaar happening down at whatever. And maybe I can see you there. I just wanted to, reconnect with you, see how the family's doing.
Hey, I was just thinking about you. I was driving past your house. I noticed your Christmas decorations.
They look great.
Maybe you stalk them a little bit on social and notice the fact that they just put their family Christmas card picture up or whatever it is. There are so many reasons to call them. There are no reasons not to call them this time of year.
That's right. And some of you, it is appropriate for you to be doing those events. I'm thinking about somebody like John Walkinshaw up in Canada. He does a huge holiday event at an actual Christmas tree farm where they do the holiday pictures for his past clients. I mean, it's awesome.
Do you remember when you and I would do our Christmas parties in New Albany and we would invite people? And this is a true story. There would be agents who are not invited who would basically crash our party.
I do remember
that happened every single year.
I know. Just because you're in the neighborhood doesn't mean you should.
Don't you think it's hilarious?
I know. But, for some of you, you should be doing events. They could be small events. They could be, we just did a wine tasting at a friend's house. It wasn't a big event. So, be COVID sensitive, but people are getting out more and you can do some of these things, especially if it's outside.
The best party that Julie and I ever did at our house, and again, introverts don't like doing parties, not going to parties, so we're forcing ourselves into. Okay, we talked ourselves into doing it. We had this party at our house in New Albany, and it was, I think, we were doing something for veterans or something, weren't we?
Wasn't it post 9/11 or something?
We had a big USA cake. It may have been. Yes,
and
yes,
flags
it was.
in the lawn.
Right, it was a holiday themed patriotic holiday party, right?
Yes.
But I think weren't we raising, like collecting canned goods for the local?
Yeah, we were doing a food drive.
Right. So we were doing a food drive, and we didn't obviously demand that people bring canned food. But I remember we had so much canned food delivered, we had to go rent like a U-Haul to haul it all off,
That's right.
which was not what I was
awesome.
anticipating.
No.
But what made that party fun was we were in Ohio, so we had a basement. And we had a fireplace in the basement, and we put a palm reader. Right?
We had a palm reader in the basement, and we had a pianist at the piano in the living room. And then the dining room was fun. And, of course, Coach Rochelle was there helping. And it was a great event. It was very cozy. And I don't know.
Do you remember the line for the palm reader?
I do.
That was insane. I mean, the line for the palm reader, she always had like 20 or 30. I mean, at what point is she just going to start,
recycling?
Exactly.
Coming up with new material.
It was crazy.
Yeah, so try and have fun with it, guys. And if you're not going to be the one doing these events, at least say yes and go to the ones from, your past clients that are inviting you, for example. All right, point number 7. Remember, we're talking about finishing the year out strong. Thinking bigger. Point number 7, what would it take for you to have the best holiday ever for you and your family? What would that take? Actually define it.
What are we doing to make this the best holiday ever for you, me, Zoe, and my mom?
Well, I think we're going to be in North Carolina for one thing.
We're going to be in North Carolina.
Hopefully Zoe's going to see snow.
Yep.
Every time it gets to be about like 73 degrees here, she asks if it's going to snow. And when I drive her to school and there's like dew on the on the grass, is that snow? So I think that'll be special. And I would like us to do one of the layaway, gifting things.
We should.
We'll look into what we should do maybe in North Carolina. Maybe here too.
If you guys aren't regular listeners, we're big advocates of going to your local Toys R Us, or frankly, it could be a Walmart or any place, and walking into the layaway department, and with whatever you feel comfortable donating, actually pay off the layaway for toys. And Julie and I
like a Secret Santa kind of thing.
You're right, but you just walk up to the layaway desk and say, I want to pay off some layaways. And what Julie and I would do is we would have the person working in the customer service area running layaway look for layaways where the toys were mostly for little kids. Yeah. Like, we weren't doing a lot of payoffs for like furniture and stuff like that.
Big screen TVs.
Right. We were looking for layaways where it was all like obviously kids. That's the reason we went to Toys R Us.
Yeah, and the thing that I thought was surprising and interesting is a lot of those layaways were only like $25.
Oh, I know.
And people were making like a $3 payment or a $5 payment. So think of the impact that makes for somebody getting a surprise call from customer service that they can come and pick up their Christmas presents for their kids.
Now, Julie and I were doing this way after we stopped selling real estate. We did it every year when we lived in Texas and all the rest of it. And we never asked, we actually insisted that the Toys R Us didn't tell them who paid it off, right? We just didn't want the recognition.
It's a Secret Santa thing.
It was a Secret Santa. But if you're in real estate, as all of you are, it might be a good idea for you to actually ask for the credit. And what the manager would often do, thinking that we wanted, essentially credit for it, is they would often ask if we wanted to have our names, essentially printed on some website or just all this other form of recognition, which we always declined. But you could actually, essentially create something out of this as a marketing thing. You could do a press release around it. You could have the store announce it. You could have the store announce it on the International Toys R Us website with a link back to your website. You could have the store manager announce it in the store. You could have a little handwritten card that you've written that goes to every single person whose layaway you paid for. Mm-hmm. You could create all kinds of goodwill. But Julie and I just did it anonymously.
Yeah, I mean, for maybe $500, you could probably pay off 20 or 30 of that type of thing, depending on what you come across.
Think about that, though, guys.
That's really impactful.
It is. Obviously, there's always going to be people that have more needs than an inability to pay for their toys. Except if you're that little kid who might not have had any Christmas presents, had generous you gone and paid off these layaways. I mean, I had plenty of Christmases where we didn't have any Christmas presents, and we weren't that bad.
Right.
My parents were just broke. And so I really appreciated the opportunity to basically right that wrong. And all of you guys can do, your own iterations of that.
Yes. All right. So point number 8, what habits can you form now which will set you up for your most successful first quarter? So don't wait until it's the new year to get ready to get started to start that new schedule. Form those habits right now. Remember, when we said 28 work days, we're not saying you've got to work every single day between now and the end of the year to have a really great finish, but to actually be productive on the days that you're calling work days. So think about your habits that you're going to set. Point number 9, set your daily work schedule so you'll finish out 2021 strong. 80% of your day should be lead generation, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, or presenting, and 20% working on your deals. Some of you guys, especially when you're already having a pretty good finish to the year, hide out in your transactions. Some of you need to actually hire a transaction coordinator so you can get out of the weeds and finish even stronger. So consider those 2 points. And of course, point number 10, if you're not in coaching yet, don't wait until January 1st.
That's right, guys. Go to timandjulieharris.com, click on coaching, and join Premier Coaching. And also, this is the perfect Christmas present. Well, the perfect Christmas present for you is joining coaching. But any other real estate professional in your life or you, get our book, Harris Rules. If you're looking for something to reinforce the podcast, reinforce the completion of your real estate treasure map, listen to our book if you want to get it on Audible, or read it. It's called Harris Rules. I haven't checked, but I think it's 500 five-star reviews on Amazon. It is available pretty much at every Barnes & Noble in the country, as well as any other bookstores that, frankly, are still open after COVID.
I know.
Which I don't know if there's any that are still open after COVID.
There's always Amazon.
But there's always Amazon, right? That's the way to go. So Harris Rules. And so there you go. There's our 10 ideas. And those are great ones, Julie.
Weekend listening. If you still haven't heard the interview with Peter Schiff, you can rewind to that. Make sure you get caught up that we did that this week.
Day before yesterday.
Yep. And our interview with the Navy SEALs. That was an interesting listen as well.
This was a good week for podcasts, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. So get caught up, because we're off to the races. We will be deep in the holiday season after this weekend, after Halloween. And by the way, happy Halloween.
And definitely, if you're a new listener, as you know, technically thousands of you will be every day, go back and, Julie just said it, listen to the interview we did with the Navy SEALs on Tuesday, Peter Schiff on Wednesday, and on Thursday, Julie and I summarized really the effects of inflation that you'll be experiencing. And I was just scanning CNBC, Bloomberg, and a couple other, normal consumer news sites, and the top of every single, Julie, look, we're going to go over to CNBC right now. Okay? Ready? I did this about maybe an hour ago. NBC. Am I? Okay. All right, we're going to CNBC, and Julie's going to read the headline as soon as we hit the page. Loads right there.
Labor shortage, supply constraints, inflation hold back economic recovery. And a whole bunch of other.
Read this one. Bill Ackerman calls for the Fed to start raising interest rates as soon as possible. I mean, remember we told you guys this a week ago, that every single headline, basically, starting with the news sites, was going to be about inflation. Inflation notches a fresh 30-year high as measured by Fed's favorite gauge. Next title, this is all on CNBC. With inflation a growing risk for investors, here's what advisors recommend. I mean, inflation. So you guys got to know what it is. So you're not just basically going to be fearful of the fear comes from not knowing what it is. And you will, once you understand it, you will not necessarily feel fearful for it, especially if you have a plan on how you can positively prepare yourself and those of your clients, personally and professionally, for what is going to be an historical. Peter was he was saying 3 to 5 years.
Probably.
So this is going to be something that none of us
we live with.
Unless you're older than probably maybe 65 and you remember the inflation in the late 70s, what we're going to be experiencing, really it's already started, is going to be historic for all of us. It's not like, oh great, we need more historic crap happening in a very short period of time.
Right, why not throw inflation?
Exactly. We had the pandemic and we had all these other things before. Why not have global inflation with people worrying about hyperinflation?
It's to distract us from the aliens, I'm sure of it. That's what's really going on. You wait and see.
You guys have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show on Monday.